Hello and welcome to the Main Protagonist podcast. My name is Casper and with me here is a mysterious masked gentleman who always appears in my hour of need.
I will save you.
Could you please identify yourself?
Well, that would be... Are you trying to unmask me already? I'm mysterious and strange. My name is Petri. Totally unforeseeable, as I was not prominently featured in my human form at all.
No, not at all, really. We also don't have a mask though, so... You forgot the costume.
Ah, damn it. Well, now that you say it.
I have a bit of a surprise for you.
Oh, Christ.
And it's a surprise that is actually more you helping me, but whatever. Let me just... Yes, I didn't just forget to not clean up the trash.
I have a bag in my hand now.
Yes, the contents are the actual surprise. So
Yes, yes, the bag is the surprise. I got a bag. Oh, Christ, I saw one thing. Do you hate me? Well, in it is some Attack on Titan, a Blu-ray collection.
Slightly dusty.
Slightly dusty, I can see that. I would like to vandalize it, as I usually do when things are dusty. So this is the first season. Yep. Kodansha box? Yes.
Both parts.
Both parts. But there was only one part to season 1.
Yes, but they release it as separate parts.
Ah, fair enough. Yeah, I can see. And just because you really don't like me, what is it with you and really trying to torture me? The other DVDs is Fate Stay Night Complete Collection.
The Dean version, of course.
Yes, of course. What else? God forbid it be Heavensfield.
Sorry,
no.
I was cleaning up. And I have a few anime that I bought sight unseen that I wasn't exactly hyped about, and it's just taking up space.
I'll just put it in, slightly in front of the camera so they can see.
And yes, I figured, well, I know a person who wants this, and that person is Brian, but he didn't. So now
I was about to say Brian doesn't give a shit about Fate. He watched, as he told me, I watched it, I enjoyed it. You can't tell me one single character without their class. It's just Saber. There is just Archer. There is just Ryder.
So I quickly discovered that he didn't want it, and then I figured, well, Petri has watched Attack on Titan. He mentioned that he watched Fate Stay Night.
Fate Zero.
At least something Fate related.
the Fate that I actually kind of liked.
Mm-hmm.
Fate Zero wasn't that bad, actually. I thought I would hate it more than I do. But I didn't.
Well, now you have something to hate, and you help me clean up a little bit.
Well, I don't think I'll watch the teen version, actually. I think I'm just going to watch the ufotable version. But thanks either way. something to fill my collection with. There. Yeah. So how are we doing?
Well, you have accepted my trash gift, so I'm feeling pretty damn pleased with myself today.
My good deed for the day.
Yes, absolutely.
Chip of the old block.
Absolutely. And how are you then?
I'm pretty fine, actually. My depression seems to have steepled off a bit, so that's good.
Okay, that's a pretty damn good result, considering...
Normally it takes a long time. Usually it's about half a year. I'm not saying it's gone, but at least I didn't have as much issues with it this time. So yeah, but maybe it's not gone yet, but I'm not feeling the depression that badly.
Right.
Other than that...
Well, that is mostly good news. Mostly good news, but that does take away your superpower to instantly consume anime.
Yeah, it sort of did. I did watch some anime, actually.
Oh, well, let's just go right there.
Well, I said I would watch Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
Or at least half the Saiyan saga. I'm not sure if I watched half of it, but I'm pretty close to it. Because the Saiyan saga, I believe, if the folders are correctly ordered, which I hope they are, is 39 episodes. And I'm on episode 15 right now. And watching the original Japanese dub really made me realize how much the English can't shut the hell up.
Oh, you briefly mentioned that before the podcast, but would you elaborate on that?
Yeah, there's just some nice background music, some ambience, some building without actually speaking. And then you switch to the English soundtrack and it's just Kyle Heber just ranting off about what happened in this episode and what's going to happen now to go on. And there was no need for it. And it's kind of treating you like, a literal child with ADHD and ADD.
Well, that's when most people first watch it, I presume.
Sorta. I mean, I suppose. But as I said, you really need to have ADHD and ADD and no Ritalin readily available. Because I want to remind you, in Japan it aired once a week. And they didn't have any of this recapping nonsense. Mm-hmm. Not this much, at least. And in America, it was one episode a day.
Okay, yeah.
Because the series was already done. Mm-hmm. If you're a child and you can pay attention and remember things for one singular day, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna make it far in the real world.
Okay, that's pretty damn grim. But I presume that this comes on top of like the usual episode previews and...
Yes. It's not really on top. It's when the usual ambience happens in the Japanese version, they just like to flap over it. So there's little to no, let's say, resting.
No downtime.
No downtime at all.
Action and screaming and...
It's just talking. Okay, now things are going to happen in the actual episode. More talking. There's always a Kyle Heber narration going on if there's no talking. Kinda tires you out, really.
I can imagine.
So
are you regretting this course of action? Or?
Oh, no, absolutely not. Because as I said, I'm watching the original Japanese dub. Because I already heard the English dub. It's just that I never contrasted between them.
Sorry, I'm mixing it up. Yeah, I
never contrasted between them. So now I really don't usually like the voice cast in the Japanese version of Dragon Ball. Mm-hmm. But I'm warming up to it now as it just has more... What's the right word for this? It's more chill to watch. Which is weird for a Dragon Ball show.
Yeah, that is not exactly the vibe I get from Dragon Ball, but I get where you're coming from.
You're just not all the time hardwired and just concentrating on what's happening and listening to the narration and such. You can just kind of have your own thoughts about scenes instead of the narrator telling you how you should feel about this stuff. If that makes any sense. We had Anyton yesterday.
Yeah.
Which is an anime marathon we do once a month with some buddies. You're not invited.
I have uninvited myself, for clarity.
We watched Kaguya. Well, I got drunk because I honestly don't really like Kaguya because it's just humor based on frivolous situations, which just kind of... I'm a very direct person, as you might have noticed.
You are.
And this is the most indirect anime ever. It's just about them trying to let the others say that they love them.
Yeah, that's the concept.
Yes, and I get why that could be funny, but that it just annoys the ever-living shit out of me.
I do understand that the manga is making some really good progress, but I watched season 1 when I was still attending the Anython, and I was not impressed either.
No, there's just...
I think there's a lot of these kind of manga coming out lately. There's a new... let's call it a wave of high school slice of life romcom series that all have some gimmick to them, but it's not really that special to me. It doesn't have the long-term
It doesn't
appeal.
have any... the problem I have with it, the issue is that it's not very deep. It's all very surface level, the character development. I mean, the main characters... ironically have the least character development in this season. It's one of the side characters that gets developed and get their tragic backstory out there.
Oh no, not a tragedy.
By the way, I was doing the biggest air quotes there because it ain't even that tragic. But yeah, no, it's fine as a comedy, but I think you can do far better. Like, what was it called? Asobi Asobase. That's just the whole new level of ridiculousness, and it's quite hyperactive, and the shorts are actually quite funny to me.
I have a friend who absolutely will go to bat for Nagatoro, which is currently getting an anime adaptation.
Yes.
But yeah, there's a lot of competition for these long-running comedy series now, and
Yeah, I mean, next season Jahi comes
yeah,
out.
the Magnificent Jahi.
Yes, that's also coming out, and I think that falls under the same category, right?
Yeah, same kind of very viral comedy stuff that's popular on message boards, Reddit.
Because I'm going to set myself ablaze here, but I'm personally of the opinion that Ueno-san, I don't know if you know that one.
Oh, yes, I believe I have it on my planned watch list. It looked fun.
Ueno-san is more fun to me than Kaguya, and I'm probably going to get flamed for that, but as I said, there's no character development, but they are trying to make character development, and the jokes themselves kind of fall flat most of the time. Because it's either just love or sex jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And the part... And,
oh yeah, I remember from season 1, the whole wiener shtick that went on for a little bit too long.
Yeah, that stuff is just kind of boring. And as I said, the main characters are just model students in other different situations. That's about the stick of it. So yeah, no, I don't really enjoy that much. So as I said, I was blackout drunk at that point.
And after that, you also watched Redline, I believe, right?
Yes, I've already watched Redline with you, I believe.
I think you might have, yes.
Yes, I think I watched that with you. I enjoyed it back then, and I still do, but I was still drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And I also already watched it, so I don't have really any commentary on that.
The Redline is pretty damn great.
Yeah, it's great. Just too bad
financial disaster of a movie. But
I was about to say that a budget of 26.3 million, and it only made 8. Ouch.
Yeah, I got a Blu-ray copy of it just because I felt so sad for it.
Yes,
but I ended up enjoying the movie as well.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Let's see, did I watch anything else? I don't think I watched anything in particular. I am planning on continuing Dragon Ball Z, of course.
For my reference, actually, maybe you are the person to help with this. Do you think there's any movies, anime, that are kind of like Redline? Because when I think of racing anime...
this is fun to me. Because I'm not going to say anything you're going to think I'm going to say here. Because I don't think the thing that Redline... every time I see Redline, it makes me think of one particular anime.
Which is?
Megalobox. Yeah, that's a weird one, isn't it?
Wow! Wow! Call back to the previous episode. A previous episode.
Yes, it's
Megalobox. Okay.
It has its very own style, and it's they are kind of similar in that way. They have their own art style, and they're very loud, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But as in pure racing, oh god, no, I don't think anything is coming close to that.
Because when I think about the racing anime, you of course got Initial D, which is like the old school racing anime that everybody knows. You got Redline, which is the big movie that everybody respects. And between that, there's a few, but nothing that really comes to mind. Like Speed Racer is more remembered for its shitty dub.
Yes, you have Oban Star Racers.
Yeah,
which
that's
also
what I wanted to mention.
Which also doesn't really fit the bill. I mean, if you... problem with Redline is, it's pretty much just a trigger anime, but with race cars.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's loud, you know where it's going, and it's just hype after hype. And just the most spectacular scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's nothing really close to it in racing regard, because Initial D is about the drifting and about the very specific skill set you need to actually pull off these things in particular cars, and you get a lot of actual car jargon, which Redline just doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you get in Redline is like, this engine has 35,000 horsepower.
I take it that means nothing.
Well, that's an absolutely ridiculous number, by the way. Most airplanes don't even produce that much. Not going into the physics of that. It's just ridiculous racing, over-the-top racing. So if you want racing that's even close to it, I can't even give you anything. Do you want something that's as loud stylistically? Go for Megalobox. Do you just like the hype? Then just watch any Trigger show, man. The only thing you would give up from Redline to a Trigger show is that you get weird fetishist things in Trigger shows.
Oh, I'm sold.
Oh, yeah. I know you are.
statements that I will regret in the near future, probably.
Definitely.
So that's your anime watching of this week, then?
Yeah, well, I still want to go into what I'm planning to watch. Because I was...
of course, go ahead.
I'm still planning to watch more Dragon Ball Z, and I'm going to say it, because it kind of works when I say it on the podcast, kind of ties me down. I'm going to read a gosh darn manga.
A gosh darn manga.
I will do it.
Do you already have one in mind?
Absolutely not, because I'm very bad at picking a manga.
Do you want me to find you a good one-shot?
Sure. I'll put it on there and just read that and just go on, because one-shots are too short for me. But it would help if you had some suggestions. And other than that, well, that's everything manga and anime related for me.
Gonna ponder on that, actually.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. As for me, I have... Well, I mentioned it on the last week's podcast that I had Africa Salary Man, not Sally Man, at the ready, and I actually watched that, which was quite surprising.
Just for my reference, because I watched literally 5 seconds of it, is it comparable to Agretzko?
It has the same general idea that it's about animal characters that work in an office, and a lot of the animals are slightly stylized, but of course not to the degree that a scenario anime would be.
No.
But it is about their office life and the things and that happen around that. It's a little bit more surreal with it. For example, it has one episode where they go on an office trip to go watch the sakura trees. Blossom watching? What's that called again?
Yeah, sakura tree watching.
Yeah. And they send one of the guys to go there, and he ends up finding a corpse and just figures, well, now the corpse is keeping this place secured for my company, so I'm just gonna fuck off.
Okay, a bit more grim than Agretzko, clear.
Yeah, it's a little out there. One of the characters is also a serial adulterer, so it's...
Well, it's kind of sad we can get serial adultering as a title.
But I kind of enjoyed its story. Its story had a few interesting moments, but I think it's kind of condemned to being bottom tier anime just by the sheer virtue of its very, very archaic CGI technology.
Yeah, and probably because if anyone sees it just like me, it's going to connect the dots to probably an Agretzko. And, well, I find Agretzko a very well done anime.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So that also sets the bar pretty high if I were going to watch it. And as I said, I've watched a solid 20 seconds of it, and then the intro started, and I just kind of clicked off.
Yeah, I think that's fair, really. If you're expecting something on the level of Agretzko, then this is not it.
No, I'm still planning on watching it, but I was not in the mood for what that show was trying to give me at that moment.
I finished it because I had a lot of patience. I had a lot of patience for it because I was kind of into the idea, and I kind of wanted something like Agretzko, so I was fine with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I think a lot of people would deflect off of the CGI visual style that's going on, because it looks good when it's in 2D stylized, but it doesn't keep that up. The 2D bits are just static pictures usually, and then it moves back to full CGI.
Ah, yes.
With 3D modeling that
doesn't keep up quite well.
No, it's old, very.
My first CGI, the CGI for dummies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, precisely. Anything else you've enjoyed?
What I've actually enjoyed, what I would be Devil
Man.
Yes, I've been watching the original 70s version of Devilman, which is an interesting experience because I haven't read the manga for that. I very specifically wanted to watch the anime, actually.
I'm wondering, are you one of the... Because I am certainly a guy that has issue with this. When you hear 70s and you're actually doing the math and you're like, oh goddamn, this is 50 years old.
Yeah.
I always keep forgetting. I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, this looks pretty okay for something that's 50 damn years old. Okay, damn. I'm feeling old myself now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it is very old, and if you've seen Devilman Crybaby, then your expectations for what to expect from the original Devilman may be a bit skewed, because the original is a very monster of the week kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I talked about it in the last episode that Gonagai is kind of a weirdo.
Yeah.
And you notice that here too, that the story has a very tonally confused. Did I just say movie, by the way?
I am not paying that much attention.
Sorry.
It was tonally confused.
The show is very tonally confused.
Yes.
Because it has very silly comedy to it. Like you got the little brother character who's a bedwetter.
Oh,
And
dear.
every time a demon appears, he's like, I did it again.
Yes.
And it's just a lot of the scenes kind of feel weird when you're used to what Devilman eventually grew up to become
Yeah.
throughout the 90s and then with the Netflix remake. Because characters engage in very weird comedy. Like, just the thought of it that this demon has just taken over a human body and is sent to go and prepare for the demon invasion of Earth, and then he just gets stuck in high school doing picking petty fights with other students. It gets really weird, and Devilman Crybaby is a lot better in handling that.
Yeah, I was about to say, because Devilman Crybaby in my mind is not very tonally confused, but just very grim in general, even with its jokes that it does do. They are, I wouldn't say they fall flat or anything, but they are not per se grim. They're just out there.
Yeah.
Everything is kind of out there, and you just you just feel kind of weird watching that, and you were like, that was a joke. Not laughing, but that was definitely a joke.
Yeah, that's pretty damn accurate. But the Monster of the Week formula also just doesn't really work well for the kind of biblical apocalypse story that Devilman tells.
Yeah.
Because in Devilman Crybaby and in the Aemon saga, you very much notice that there's a plot going on. It's not just random encounters. But here in the original, it's like, it's not a secret that demons exist. They show up every week. They're in full view. They do all these things. Everybody knows they're there.
Fair, yes.
So it kind of takes away from the mystique and the storytelling. It is fun. It's a fun, very old school shonen.
I was about to say, if you're in the mood for something really old and silly, that's probably a good one.
It is very cheesy shonen with a few surprising peaks in the violence, but
yes.
As for Go Nagai, I kind of prefer how he did Cutie Honey and Gekko Kamen, which were much better fits for this kind of story, this Monster of the Week story. And you notice that a lot of the good ideas from Devilman 1972, 1973 version are just taken to the newer takes and have a much better impact.
Fair enough.
It made me want to read Devilman Grimoire, I have to admit.
Okay.
Anything else?
Oh no, he's pointing at me.
I did something strange.
Oh dear.
I watched a movie. I watched because it was mentioned in one of the podcasts, and one of my friends asked me, "Why didn't you watch Detective Pikachu?"
Oh, Christ. Okay.
I kept that in mind, and a few days later I got an email from Netflix, because I pay for my family's Netflix, and it was, hey, we added Detective Pikachu, and I was like, well, fuck.
Fine.
Destiny.
I'll have to now.
Yeah, so I ended up watching Detective Pikachu of all things.
But did you enjoy it?
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Pokemon. Should specify that I haven't seen Pokemon since about the start of Gen 2, I believe.
Yeah, I find this perfectly ironic because you have a 3DS that's the special edition from the Pokemon X and Y, I believe.
Yeah, when I ended up getting a 3DS, the Pokemon one bundled with the game was just as expensive as just the console.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it's like, well, okay.
I'm playing Pokemon, I guess.
Yes, I'll play through a Pokemon game.
Yeah, no, I'm more into Pokemon than you are. I like to do Nuzlocke for now and then and some randomizers. But yeah, Detective Pikachu is a fine children's movie, I suppose.
Yeah.
But that's really about it. But to be fair, you can't really expect more of it. But on the other hand, Ryan Reynolds is in it, which is mostly known for Deadpool. So
what character did he play? Because I'm not familiar
Detective
with the actor.
Pikachu.
Oh, he is the Pikachu.
Yes.
Okay.
He's the voice actor. And also, yeah, well, I'm not going to spoil anything.
No.
But that sets some kind of expectation even for older viewers. if that makes sense, because Ryan Reynolds is not a very quote-unquote child-friendly actor.
Oh,
as I said, he is in Deadpool. He is the man. He is Deadpool.
Yes, I get you.
So, and he always kind of acts the same in every movie. He just acts like Deadpool in Detective Pikachu too. So, it's kind of weird to watch that.
Yeah, I went into it with basically zero research, and I was very surprised how the Pikachu sounded.
Yes, I can imagine.
Because first of all, I didn't expect it to talk because it looks so. You see a lot of art. Listen to me and my anime terminology. You see a lot of like pictures of the movie which have the look, he's so cute, he's so fuzzy.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking like
what the No, the movie on itself is fine, and I'm still going to rate it higher than Sonic the Hedgehog. That was just a shit heap, that movie, to me at least.
Yeah, but one thing I enjoyed is that Detective Pikachu kind of plays with your expectations because it starts out and it looks like it's kind of going to take off of the first Pokemon movie.
Fair enough.
That was literally called Pokemon the First, wasn't it?
Yes, Pokemon the first movie.
Yeah,
it even knew it was a giant franchise, even in 1998.
Yeah. It kind of makes you think, oh, it's going to be a live-action version of that, but maybe with some twist to it. But then it ends up being a completely its own thing.
Yeah, I really appreciate that because most of the CGI isn't very. It's well done. It just isn't pretty. Mm-hmm. It doesn't fit the Pokemon art style that well, in my opinion. So it just kind of looks jank when they move.
Yeah, some of the Pokemon look a bit weird.
Yeah. I mean, they have to be adapted to real-world circumstances, which some Pokemon do kind of okay, like Pikachu, because it's just a furry rat.
Yeah,
essentially. But then you have the weirder ones, like what's the good one? I believe Machamp was in it. The four-armed blue dude. Yeah. That just looks weird.
Yeah,
it just kind of looks wrong.
It looks slightly weird, but it is fun. It
is fun. It was definitely it was as I said, that's an actual movie I would recommend to kids. Not that I ever would recommend movies to kids, but if I had to choose between Sonic the Hedgehog again or Pokemon Detective Pikachu, just give me Detective Pikachu twice.
Twice, no less.
Yeah.
There were two observations that I still had.
Okay.
And that I'm desperately clinging to.
Oh, Christ.
Because I was worried I'd forget. One of the things is that I thought that the opening was a bit rough. Because the basic setup of the story is that the protagonist is an assurance appraiser.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, he just has a regular ass job in the Pokemon world. And he gets a phone call that his father's passed away. And everybody gives him fucking shit for it. Like, his friend is giving him shit that he has to get back into Pokemon. He comes into the city where his father worked.
Yeah, I can honestly say I don't remember most of that stuff about the movie.
But that was so bizarre because he comes at the detective office. Yeah, your father is dead, and the detective is very clearly pushing for him to like step into his footsteps and carry on his legacy. He's like, dude, just give me the keys to the apartment. I want to go.
I want to get this business over with and go back to my life.
And then he comes to the apartment complex, and the female lead, who's a reporter, is waiting there for him with her Psyduck, and begins questioning him about all kinds of things and about the plot that he doesn't even know about yet. And he stays so calm. I was like, God damn it, man, if some reporter just showed up to me while I'm trying to grieve my fucking father who has just died,
I'd slap that microphone where the sun don't shine.
That was so weird.
Yeah, fair enough.
And the other observation, oh god, I almost forgot it.
Oh,
Christ. Almost forgot. The other observation is that I was very happy that it wasn't exclusively pandering to Pokemon Gen 1.
Oh, no, definitely not. Luckily not.
No. There's of course a lot of hype for Pokemon Gen 1, and it's probably the most iconic, but I saw a lot of Pokemon that I didn't know about, which I thought looked really damn cool. Without spoiling the Tortolas, I think that's what they're called, the turtle-shaped Pokemon.
Yeah, there are a few of those.
God damn. Big brown turtle Pokemon.
There are a few of those.
Come on.
Was it the fire type that spews steam?
No. God damn.
Is it the sea turtle?
Yeah, the big sea turtle.
Or is it no, you mean the starter with the tree on its back. Yes, you're Tortuga, I believe that one's called.
Yeah, they find them at the lab and they're putting experiments on them.
Yeah, that's. I'm pretty sure that's the Gen 4 starter.
Oh, all right. Didn't look like starter material, but I'll take your word for it.
Most everything after Gen 3 doesn't look like starter material.
Help me. Gen 3 is which one?
Hoenn, Blaziken, Mudkip, and...
No, like the names of the game. You have Ruby.
Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald.
Okay, and
that's Gen 3.
Gen 4 is?
Diamond, Platinum, and Pearl.
Okay.
The issue with most newer Pokemon after Gen 3 is that they kind of stuck with Gen 3 as in, our fire type also needs to be a fighting type. I think they did that for 3 generations. Which is kind of obnoxious. But that's besides the point. Let's not go into that can of worms right now. Anything else you've watched?
That's basically it for me. I watched the anime version of Kekko Kamen as well,
Okay.
which I didn't know existed. But it's literally just 4 extra chapters of the manga, just standalone adventures that don't really conclude.
Okay.
So it's just a nice extra if you enjoyed the manga. If anybody actually still reads that manga.
Yeah, fair enough. And well, then we go on to the next bullet point, which wasn't interesting for me when I opened the document.
It is my favor to you, because I know that you have a lot to say about this matter.
Ha ha ha. What makes an anime OP/AED good?
Yes, because you are a big music fanatic. And
oh, yes, I definitely
as
like
mentioned
music.
in the last podcast, I am more of a person that I enjoy music. I know when I hear something that sounds good to me and that I enjoy. But if you ask me to like technically analyze why I enjoy it,
yeah, fair. Yeah, I'm literally someone who can just put on headphones, put the screens on blank, and just sit an hour, just rock out to music, and get goosebumps and everything. So yeah, and I like my good sounding music. What makes an opening good? Well,
to start with, could you on the spot name just a top 3 favorite anime openings endings?
Oh dear, that's very dependent on what the criteria are. And then that's how you know I like my own music.
Wait, so criteria?
I mean, if it's the hype factor, I mean, I gotta put Tengen Toppa on there. I mean, the song itself is not that hype, but just the circumstances it's used in makes it hype as shit.
Yeah, gotcha. So, which is over.
So I really like that one. Same for Toradora, as in Pre-Parade, let's be honest, is not an amazing song. It is fun.
It has a novelty factor.
It has a novelty factor, and it's connected to a really good show, but on its own, I wouldn't listen to it that much, in contrary to Vanilla Salt.
And Silky Love.
Yes, those are just tremendously good. I like those.
Moral question: did you leave that one open for me to make it seem like I also know my stuff? That you didn't
No,
mention Silky
not
Love?
particularly. I'm not going to question you on the anime openings and endings. That would be kind of unfair.
Thank you.
Aw, I really enjoy the Fire Force openings. Inferno by what was it called? Miss Green Apple, I believe. It was a weird band name. Japan really likes its weird band names. As I said, it's really dependent on criteria if I really like openings and endings. But if we're just outside of anime, just the numbers, the songs themselves, a top 3. Oh dear, Neko 96 with I forgot what the song name is. Kusuno Honkai opening 1.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's one that I considered as well.
Yeah, standalone, I love that song. Just like the ending, Heiko-sen by Sayori is just an amazing song to me.
Scum Swish, by the way, for all the people that also don't do Japanese titles.
Who don't speak weep.
I know by now.
I just keep hammering, man. I'll just use Japanese titles.
You go on ahead. I'll just sit here and pretend to know what's up.
That's fine. Yeah, I really like those. Yeah, I just have this giant playlist. Air Gear really has a nice opening.
Air Gear. That's a show I've heard about very recently again.
Yeah, that's well, it's definitely a U era anime, as in early 2000s. Niche sport anime. I'm not sure if anybody watched that, but it's an anime about, pretty much roller skating, but fancy.
Kind of like that. You were watching another skate anime just recently, right?
Yes, literally Skate the Infinity.
Skate the Infinity.
Which goes for a very different style. This was very 2005, as in it had the Jet Set Radio vibe to it.
Ooh.
But a lot more punk music. And the opening is very...
that sounds like my stuff, really.
Yeah. And the opening is very... What's the good... Because before this, we were listening to Zebrahead, Rescue Me. It's more in that vein of music.
All right.
A little bit more laid back, but the same vein. And the opening is very... what's the right word for it? There's a lot going on in it. There are very many layers of the instruments. And that's, to me, as an audiophile, a very good way to test headphones and sound cards.
Like so it sounds very busy. Like a lot of different sounds are happening at the same time.
Yes, there's a lot of layers to the music, and when you have bad headphones or bad sound card, or it kind of gets muddy, and you can't distinguish between instruments and layers anymore. And that song really points that out, and on itself, it's a really nice song, I think.
For my reference, would you say that the Baccano opening is kind of similar in that regard? That it has a lot going on at the same time?
I honestly don't... I haven't watched Baccano. Oh dear, stones are flying my way now. So I'm from what I remember, that's more jazzy, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot of...
it has a lot going on, but
that's... Of instruments. I don't...
It's not that's busy because it's more... it's played fast, quite fast. It's, what's the right word? Darn it. It's kind of...
If you don't know the right word, invent one.
Invent one. It's speedily forced.
Don't expect you to take me off
hectic.
On that.
It's a very hectic number,
right.
But it's not very busy, if that makes sense. And Air Gear is very busy. There's just a lot going on in that song.
Okay, Scum Swish, Air Gear. And what would be your third pick?
Oh, Christ. As a standalone song, I'm just going to it's not particularly my favorite, but it's one that comes up in my mind because I'm a product of the early 2000s, which is obvious by my music, the preferences. I like my pop punk, so I'm going to once again for a strange pick, X-Arm ending. X-Arm, the shit show that it has an amazing ending. By Dizzy Sunfist.
I did not expect that.
I know.
Wow. Way to catch people off guard there.
Yes. Dizzy Sunfist is, it's an unapologetic band that does its own thing, and it's really pop-punky.
So they're kind of like keeping a music style that's fallen out of grace with the popular audience, with the mainstream audience, and they're keeping it alive.
Yes. I also liked the opening, but Dizzy Sunfist really did a great one with the ending of X-Arm. It's the only good part about X-Arm.
I was about to ask, is this the one saving grace?
Yes, it truly is. That and just the straight up shit factor that X-Arm has with which I can watch with Rolf in that regard.
And kind of the same vein that Africa's Salaryman is fun for its bad CGI.
Yeah.
If you're in the mood for that.
I could see that. Let's see, can I name any more particularly good songs? I really like the Dark and Black songs, almost all of them. Blood Sea has a real nice opening.
Oh, yeah.
Spiral.
Spiral.
That's straight up the only song that makes me sing French.
Isn't that from the same creators that also did the song for Claymore?
Oh, dear. I have to think, because one of the openings from Claymore is by Lark and CL, which is Raison d'être, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, or that's... I believe that one is made by the same artist.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yes, because of the French connotation. But Claymore has been a wild, also very, very nice opening.
I just want to... admit that I was at a loss for words for a moment. I couldn't get the word Claymore out, and I was thinking of Calimero.
Also, a nice song, but then in Dutch. I'll not torture the audience by actually singing it, but...
Yeah. Now that you mention it, do you have like any guilty pleasures in that regard, like all Dutch openings that you favor?
Oh, and you opened the trap door, my friend. Well, generally I have a utter disdain for our stupid language. And I can fully agree with anyone who doesn't want to learn or speak it, even when you live here, with good reason. But the Sailor Moon Dutch intro is just straight up the best version to me. I really think it's better than the Japanese version. And the English version is, well, most English versions of 80s, 90s, and early 2000s anime are just very shitty adaptations. I mean, have you heard the 4chan, 4Kids? 4Kids, the dubs and covers of songs, those are just horrendous. But most of our Dutch versions are based on German versions. With Sailor Moon, that's the case. It's just a song that they use in Germany, but with Dutch dubs. I really like that one, actually. Let's see. Calimero, of course. Calimero is just nice. If this were a few years earlier, I would say Kwak, Alfred Hitchcock's Kwak. But I found out the Japanese version is made by Megumi Hayashibara. So I can't claim that anymore. Better than Herman van Veen. So yeah, those are my Dutch guilty pleasures, I suppose. And I'm trying to think if I have a general guilty pleasure song. A song I genuinely know is not particularly good, but I enjoy anyway. I'm pretty sure there are, but I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Well, I'll take the lead then for a moment, because I've tactically had you go on about that, so I could buy myself some time, because I didn't prepare this either. If I had to name a top 3, Boy by the Alfie, which is the opening song to Figures 15.
I just want to mention right there, fuck you. I had to find that fucker. I had to find that song, and that was a bitch and a half, I might add. Sorry, continue on.
Yes, I really like that song. The Alfie is a folk band originally, and it's very surprising to hear them do the opening to a sci-fi anime. And the song is so heartfelt, so passionate that it just completely swoops you in, which is also very fitting because Figure 17 is is a drama anime. So I very much connect the emotions of the show with the emotions of the song, and that really makes it one of the most powerful openings to me.
Yes.
See, I can actually analyze things. Wow.
Now that I'm actually trying it.
This is improv. Let Me Be With You, Chobit's opening. I'm not sure who sang it.
Oh, Christ. Nino, I believe? I believe it's Nino.
Okay. That is mostly just like what you mentioned in regards to...
it's connected to...
Pre-parade.
Yes.
It's a very novel song.
It's connected to something you emotionally connect with.
Yes, also, of course, I fucking love Chobits.
But to be fair, Let Me Be With You is a somewhat more actual song than Pre-parade.
It is incredibly catchy, very appropriate for the show, and just so happy, heartfelt that I just... It makes me really... It starts playing and like, yay. Episodes.
Yeah, I've already thought of some more songs that I really like.
And the final one that I would name is called Dear Future by Culture of the Deepers. I actually had you listen to that last time I was here, which is the ending song to Penguin Drum.
Yes.
And that is mostly because it's such a mysterious song with such a unique sound. It's a very experimental track.
And what about the opening to Hyogomono? Or the ending?
Hyogomono. Oh, yeah. That is Ebi Sukui.
Yes.
I hope I pronounced that right. That is a very fun opening as well. That is... Hyogomono has 4 different openings, but all of them are set to the same visuals, and Ebi Sukui is just such a nice fit for the show. It's very loud and aggressive, but it has the Japanese cultural sound to it.
Yes.
I really like that mix.
Koto and such.
Yeah, it has
instruments.
It has the instruments and also just the very Sengoku era feel to actual beat.
Well, then I'm going to name a few again. Asian Kung Fu Generation, almost any song that's connected to an anime from them.
Yeah, for me that is instantly connected to Erased.
Naruto
again,
in my
with
case
Sayori.
too.
Naruto? Did I do a Naruto opening?
Yes, Haruka Kanata. I believe that's that's the second opening. That's one of the very nostalgic ones.
Yeah, I was about to say, you say that name, and I instantly, fuck, I loved that song back in the day.
Yes, I was about to say, because I'm pretty sure I made you listen to a comparison, because I'm a bit of I like to analyze the music and such, and really find the ticks of certain artists. You really can hear the similarities between Riri and Haruka Kanata. Just the build up to the end of the song of Riri is exactly the same as the center of the song in Haruka Kanata. Which is kind of fun give.
If I might add something comparable to that, I'm currently watching Madlax with a friend of mine, and when the opening to Madlax starts playing, it sounds very similar to the opening of Sound of the Sky, which is...
that's a weird
both
one.
of those are openings by Yuki Kajura.
Yeah, fair enough. I can see that. Well, I could go on and on with music, but we should really get on to the news, I think.
All right.
So, yeah, you may start with the first one.
I think the first few bits are all for me, actually. That is...
Deary.
Oh, dearie. Yes, Girl from the Other Side Kickstarter reaches stretch goal to create bonus short anime. Which studio has been running... Yes, I actually have the first volume of Ciala Run, The Girl from the Other Side, with us here.
Yes.
I actually bought that in the American Book Center in Amsterdam, just sight unseen,
yes.
and I really enjoyed it. But I was kind of holding off on it because I wanted to see if an anime would manifest. And eventually Wit Studio created a 10-minute short, I believe.
Yes.
And now they've just completed a Kickstarter for the full anime adaptation that I want to do, which ended up raising apparently $183,800, which is 20 million yen, just about.
Yep.
Yeah, they managed to reach all of their stretch goals and are going to be implementing a lot of the bonus features like art and extra separate mini anime for bonus chapters of the manga.
Okay. I'm just going to jump in here and ask you about the current situation in this regard, because isn't it kind of weird that creators, like actual big studios, have to kind of jump in on Kickstarter to gauge interest for animes?
Yeah, it was kind of big news when Under the Dog did it, which was made by the team that predominantly worked on Kanan. And just like Kanan, Under the Dog was fucking intolerable.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe that's just what you have to do in order to get some like special projects greenlit these days. Because
yeah, I suppose. But it's, the weird thing to me is with the costs of anime production, it seems more like a gauge of interest, but not necessarily funding it. Because, well, let's be honest, you're not going to make an entire anime, or let alone maybe a few shorts, if that, for $183,000.
Is that not also what happened with the video game Shenmue E3, that they used a Kickstarter to kind of display interest, but most of the funding still came from an established publisher afterwards?
Sony was already in it with Yu Suzuki, and they... just use Kickstarter to gauge interest.
Yeah, maybe something similar is happening in that regard. How do I feel about that? I feel that it kind of obligates the audience to put their money up front.
Yeah, I was about to say it's kind of weird in that regard, because you definitely know there's not a real in-between way to gauge interest, because someone can just click a button and say, yeah, I'm interested, and just literally not watch it or not give a crap in between. But if you actually put your money where your mouth is, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of weird to me, because, as I said, I don't think this is much money that actually goes towards funding animation. It's just more of a, hey, do you want this?
Yeah, but we do live in an era of dwindling DVD and Blu-ray sales.
Definitely.
Online streaming services that probably don't yield the best revenue for the people that make it.
No, because
All things considered.
it's just royalties,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it's just a part of your subscription fee goes to that particular or artist. So that's very small bits of money.
Yeah, so I can definitely see why maybe this is a new necessity in the field.
Yeah,
See
that.
I believe that Under the Dog was more of an indie studio that was producing it, but now we're seeing Wit Studio get on this boat as well. Maybe it'll happen again in the future.
Yes,
But Cielo Rune is also just kind of a product that I wouldn't say is your typical seasonal
because,
anime. What do you know about it?
fuck all. I honestly don't know anything about it. I've just seen the manga and its cover, and I can only say it looks like Mahotsukai no Yome on first sight.
The Ancient Max's Bride, by the way.
I am not apologizing.
The comparison is not completely ill-founded. The story, it's been a while since I read this volume, and I'm still not sure if I'm going to buy the rest of the volumes or if I'm going to watch the anime. It kind of depends on how it turns out.
Yes.
But the story is about this little girl who was abandoned in a forest that I believe is cursed, and it has monsters, and I believe if they touch you, that spells death or some other ill fate.
Yeah.
So one of the monsters, this very...
Teacher.
Yeah,
he's literally called teacher.
He is referred to as teacher indeed, but this very demonic-looking fellow.
Yeah, he literally just kind of looks like the dude from Mahotsukai no Yome.
He, fair. He more or less starts protecting her throughout Volume 1, and I believe it ended on a cliffhanger of one of his kin finding her and being just about to touch her.
Yeah.
It was a good hook for me to be interested enough to keep an eye on this franchise, see where it will go.
Yeah, you know what?
The manga's also finished now.
With that description, just what you said, it kind of pinged with me that it also kind of feels like Ico, the PS2 game. If that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, it is a very protect the innocent, sweet, helpless girl against a very hostile world.
Yeah.
I believe also, if I recall correctly, that the little girl is kind of semi-delusional about it. She doesn't quite realize that she's been abandoned. And
no, precisely. But she's illustrated as being really young.
Yeah. And I like the art. I like the art and the character designs a lot. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this, see if the anime...
Yeah, if I had to make any comment about the art, it seems a bit Western, actually.
Yeah, also just the title. That sounds very Welsh, doesn't it?
Yes, it's very what's already called the Grimm.
The Brothers Grimm, you mean?
Yes, Brothers Grimm fairy tales. It kind of has that style to it.
Yeah.
Although I suppose it's a little bit less quote unquote grim.
I'm not sure yet. Maybe some grim developments happen. A friend of mine is mostly up to date on the manga.
Okay.
She was also very excited that I was going to be covering this. So that's an interesting development. Not sure what to think yet about studios using Kickstarter.
That's a bit of a weird one. I did really like, as I said, I think it's a weird one because you don't use all of that money for funding because you can't fund an entire anime with just that. It's just too little money for that. So it's just to gauge interest, and that's a weird one to me.
Yeah, I believe that like a single episode of anime costs like 300,000 to make, from what I recall.
It really depends. I mean, if you use Kyoani versus Dean, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a vast difference in budget right there.
One other thing, maybe you could excuse this as the Kickstarter offloading a bunch of the merchandising because the stretch goals were all for extra features and stuff.
Yes.
Maybe you could see it in that light.
Yeah, fair enough. Going on to the next bit.
You want to do this?
If I get the page open, yes.
Struggles.
Nozomi Entertainment to release all of Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei anime franchise. Right Stuff announced in a behind-the-scenes video on February 17 that Nozomi Entertainment will release the entire anime franchise based on Koji Kumeta's Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei manga, including all 3 anime seasons and both original anime OVA's works.
Very ironic timing after I literally just finished the damn thing.
Yeah, so this is just its introduction to a streaming platform, I suppose.
They are looking into actually licensing it and localizing it.
Okay.
which is going to take a lot of effort. It's actually been already delayed because they didn't have the scripts anymore, the original scripts.
Oh,
Those
okay,
have been
that's...
lost, so the translator has to do everything by ear.
Yes, I was about to say.
And you've seen Shaft anime, and a lot of them have way too much on-screen text.
Yes,
like
and very much of the meaning is actually between the lines.
Yes, absolutely. So that it's proving difficult to translate, hence why it's being kind of delayed for a while. But now they are actually gonna release. They've now confirmed that they are gonna do all 3 seasons. First it was up in the air if they were actually gonna do the whole thing.
Media Blaster was the previous license holder, and they did nothing with it.
No,
So-
they did nothing with it. When I was watching, when I just finished season 1 and I was still very positive about the series, I tried looking it up because I wanted to consider buying it.
Yeah.
I went onto Laconia, typed in Sayonara Zetsuba Sensei, says, "Hey, we don't have this. Did you perhaps mean Sayonara Zeta Jones?"
Okay, that's... I'm not going to ask questions about that one.
Regrettably, they had nothing called that either, but...
Did you mean that? Well, we got nothing for that either. Go fuck yourself.
This is how Arconia works. But yes,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see that we suddenly get an older anime, a bit of a niche artsy show, and we suddenly get a new release. But perhaps that can be attributed to the very considerable success of all the Shaft anime of recent.
Well, that, and probably just as the license is in the air, it's probably not that expensive to actually buy the license.
I'm not sure how much licensing costs for a lot of these.
Well, for obsolete and old things, they can literally be free sometimes. There are literally situations, I believe, either Metabots or another niche franchise just got bought up entirely in America to a dude that's bought it for €1 just to fuck off with it.
Alright, that's interesting. But that's also how you get releases like the Eastern Star boxes and Anime Limited, I presume, because...
Yeah, it's not expensive or prohibitively expensive to license, and it's very easy to produce, merchandise in general. So, yeah.
Yes, it's interesting. I mentioned that I kind of fell out with Sayonara Zetsuba Sensei as it went on.
Yeah,
but it's interesting to just kind of watch something and then, like,
it gets licensed.
Suddenly it gets a new release. Like, oh, well,
okay.
Oops.
Yeah, I've only watched the first season, and I'm gonna, just kind of
stick. I've already stolen this.
I've already stolen it. I'm gonna stick to it because I'm not going to watch the other seasons, especially after you said they were kinda, worse.
Yeah.
And
well, I mentioned that it's fun to kind of watch the episodic cheesy adventures in Devilman, but to see a Shaft series with like philosophical do an episodic format like that and just kind of peter out over the course of so many seasons, that was really annoying.
Yeah, that's kind of gotta grind on you after a while.
Not everything is good for an episodic format.
No, that's like hydrogen peroxide on an open wound. After a while, it just starts to burn.
That joke is too highbrow for me.
Well, too bad. Next!
Moving on.
We're going to get flamed for this one.
Oh, shut up, you. Yes. Much requested. Komi Can Communicate romantic comedy manga gets October TV anime. It has been asked for many times since the manga continued to rise in popularity. Mostly through the internet, it became a viral hit. People were asking, where is the anime? And all around Komi-san, her competitors and friends got snapped up for anime. The Great Yahi is getting an anime. Nakdoro.
Yes.
But what's that other one called again? I believe you watch with the big titty girl.
Uzaki.
Uzaki-chan?
I'm pretty sure it's Uzaki-chan.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean, yeah. All of those got snapped up for anime, and now Komi-san is also finally getting an anime courtesy of OLM, which is...
a weird one on itself.
Yes, that's a surprising result. But, Petri, could you elaborate why you won't be watching this? Because I don't want
you don't want to be thrown under the fish right away. Well, then I'll do it myself. I tried to read the manga, and I honestly can't tell why people like it. Because, it's, for those who don't know, it's about a girl who has a lot of issues communicating through speech, which she rectifies by writing almost anything. And, the only thing she wants to do in high school is create more friends. And, she is kind of the beauty of the school, so nobody wants to speak to her because they are in awe of her.
Mm-hmm.
And, behind the scenes, she's just a very shy girl, not wanting to speak to people because she's scared. And the main character just kind of deals with her shit.
He's an unassuming dude. He was a he was a big weirdo in middle school, and now he's trying to just kind of live an unassuming life throughout high school.
And then he gets, this girl in his life.
Yeah, and because she's the most popular person in school, he gets...
not exactly the most popular, but...
Not the most popular, but just the most loved, perhaps.
Yeah,
better word.
She is adored.
She is adored because she starts hanging out with him. He gets all the flack from the entire school for taking Komi-san away from them. I also read the first 2 volumes. That's a lie. I read the first volume and then part of the second one. I can see how a lot of the jokes kind of work well as a funny little image that you can share online, and it does occasionally look cute, but I read the first volume and was like, man, this is kind of fucking weird.
Yeah, the art is...
A lot of it is very weirdly sexualized.
Yes, and the art is just kind of... some things just look really well drawn, but then you have... The facial features are just kind of off for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have the hair, usually the hair parts, and that's kind of circular, but with Komi, it's just like they took a hatchet to the back of her head.
Yes, I see what you mean.
It just kind of looks deformed, which is weird to me. I don't really like the comedy that it's trying to force.
No, but even in like volume 1, you already have chapters that kind of feel very weird. Like there's one chapter that just feels like filler to me, which is that she walks around and everybody is looking at her.
Yeah,
that's just okay. That's a chapter.
Yeah, and as you said...
I believe Volume 1 also ends that they're playing this game in class, and I'm like, what the fuck, these are high school kids. Why are they playing this little fucking kids game in the middle of class? What the fuck is going on here?
And as I said, the art is kind of weird to me, because, the only thing I'm aware of with the fan base is that you can't loot Komi.
Yeah.
That's just a tagline I see now and then. But just look at this art. The skirt is literally shorter than her arse. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen someone with a skirt, but if they sit down, they kind of have to strike the skirt under the legs so that they can properly sit down. Well, in the art from Komi, she just sits down because there's no skirt to wipe under. But yeah, no,
Yeah, but also just some of the jokes. Like, I remember there's this one friend that she makes that decides to become like her dog, and that gets very gets very fetishized with like visuals that are more hentai-y.
Yeah, and the main dude, for some reason, has a flower in his hair. There's just very many things that kind of baffle me about the art style.
I'm also wondering if this anime might be a little too late, because what I notice a lot hanging out in AL, AniList that is, and other anime forums, is that people have kind of gotten sick of the stagnant state that the manga is in.
Yeah, fair enough. I can see that.
You mentioned that the tagline was "Don't loot Komi," but what I get a lot from the community of late is that a new chapter comes out and the general tagline is "Nothing happened."
The surprise!
It seems that the story is now finally actually moving forward with its premise, but it's been chapter after chapter after chapter of just non-important side business and making new friends that are just random gimmick characters. So,
just to get on with it. Komi is voiced by Aoi Koga, which is, I'm pretty sure, best known for Kaguya.
Yeah. In my case, also for playing Angie in Princess Principal.
Yeah, so, the few lines she's going to say are pretty good, I suppose.
Maybe it's like Hellscythe in Is This a Zombie? That just keep imagining new voices.
Yeah, and she's also Eruru from the Cautious Hero.
You recommended that to me.
Yeah, Cautious Hero is still amazing. I really think you should watch that.
It's on the list with my friend.
Good. Then the dude, Hirohito Tadano, is voiced by Gakuto Kajiwara.
Yeah, that's in a lot of stuff that you watch as well.
Yeah.
He's the main character in both What's that show called again? Black something?
Black something. Oh my.
And he's in Fire Force also as the main protagonist.
Fire Force, he is Shinra. And in Rent a Girlfriend, he is the nerdy side character, which I despise that entire show, so I guess that's a fit.
No, seriously, what was that anime called again?
Yeah, I'm trying... Oh, Black Clover.
Black Clover. Yes, that one.
He's Asta in Black Clover.
That one.
Oh no, sorry, I should rephrase. He is Asta from Black Clover.
I remember that show got a lot of people complaining that the main character was way too fucking loud.
Yeah, he's unapologetically more Naruto than Naruto. That's the best way to describe him.
Okay.
At least Naruto gets depressed when they call him a fucking hellspawn and they don't want him in the village. Asta's just like, well, if I can't be a wizard, I'll just try harder. Which is literally his entire stick. He doesn't give up and he doesn't care if you call him a retard for it.
And finally, Najime Osuna, the friend of indeterminate gender, is performed by Rie Murakawa, who is best known for playing Hotaru in Non-Biori, and nothing else is important, really.
Oh, damn! You're not going to mention Ram?
She is also Ram in ReZero, but...
To make sure, Ram, with an A, not the E.
Hotaru.
Hotaru! I mean, yes, and she's also one of the Danmachi characters, Tiona.
Oh, okay.
Which I can't say I really care about, as she also does some My Hero. Also not one of the main characters, so yeah, there's just a little bit of everything. And she's Anzu from Hinamatsuri.
Oh, smart boy, you left
yes, I left the tabs open. I'm a smart boy.
Look at a smart boy.
And also Anzu from Hinamatsuri.
I haven't watched that yet.
Hinamatsuri is a hoot and holler. You should really watch that. There's just this one particular scene from this anime which I really like. Because it's about kids with psychic powers.
Yeah.
And they play the game from that they say you have to look a particular way and you shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And they use the ESP powers to force each other. But the other one is far stronger than the other one. So she's like, look left. She can't do it with her psychic powers. The other one is like, look left. Fucking snaps her neck and launches her over the river. That fucking bit makes me laugh every time.
I kind of sympathize that I should be watching it, but on the other hand...
There's a lot on the list.
No, I got completely bombarded to death with ads for Hinamatsuri when I briefly used Crunchyroll for something, and I got...
And there you go, you shouldn't use Crunchyroll.
As we'll get to in a moment. Just you wait.
Just you wait. So, the next bit would be...
Our weekly update of fucking Evangelion.
You would almost say we're obsessed with it, but there's just a lot of news about it, okay? Yeah. Final Evangelion Films Studio Kara, I suppose that's how you pronounce that, reports slander, threats, and criminal intent against staff. So that's, yeah, they're just getting death threats and such. That's not nice, people. Just calm down.
Calm the fuck
Holy
down.
shit, man. I know I get that you're passionate about something, but to literally wish harm upon someone creating it, whose literal job it is to make this, is kind of sickening to me.
Yeah, that's what you get, right? When you have nerds that have been kept invested in a series for 20 years, they get weirdly attached to things.
Yeah, I like Kingdom. I don't particularly like Kingdom Hearts 3, but I wouldn't send death threats to Tetsuya Nomura. I'll just make jokes on his behalf.
Yeah. You felt the death threats with Square Enix.
Oof. So yeah, they let's see, where was it? There was a very lawyery sentence in there. The studio stated that it will protest slander, threats, comments that suggest criminal intention, and other actions that undermine the staff's dignity stemming from personal dissatisfaction with the released film. Well, if that isn't just pure lawyer jargon.
That is lawyer speak indeed. Yeah, there's not really much to say about this except, well, fucking retards. Of course, somebody had to go and make death threats.
Yeah, I mean, at least they didn't set the studio's building on fire. Goddamn. I mean, in Japan, it's either not really caring at all, or they go all the way.
Care way too much.
Yeah, they care either not at all or way too freaking much. This is definitely a case of why care this much?
Yeah, it makes me slightly concerned of what might be happening in the final Evangelion film that got people riled up this fucking time.
Yeah, because the only thing I can imagine is actually being a moe slice of life anime for the entire movie.
Do you think this happens more often? Because we already mentioned KyoAni, the arson attack, where we got this, and the other thing that comes to mind is that the creator of Naruto received death threats over how Naruto ended and the pairings that were made official by the end of it.
Ah, okay. Well, yeah, I'm not keeping that up to date with the writer that much, but yeah, that's Naruto I kind of get, not because of the subject matter, but indeed of how attached people are to it. But still, it seems weird to me to be so attached to a character that you would threaten someone who created it to make a certain choice about them. That's just me. I literally can't see how people would do that. So, no, I can't really say anything about that either. Because I was fine with all the characters who got matched up. It's just... Did you expect any different, honestly? It's like getting mad that Naruto didn't end up with Sasuke. But, like, did you really expect that to happen, honestly?
And if that's the case, if that's what you're angry about, don't you worry. There will always be doujin artists willing to help you out.
Yes.
And or fanfiction writers, of course.
Either or.
There is a market for dissatisfied people that are way too invested in series.
Yeah.
And you don't get arrested for death threats.
No. So, moving on. Going to, this one is yours.
Yeah, definitely one of mine. 7 Seas License Kabi Nagata's My Wandering Warrior Existence manga. Kabi Nagata is an author who came to be famous by, among other works, My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness.
In which we have so delicately placed here on the table. And since I moved it, the censoring isn't perfect anymore.
Oh no, we're gonna get demonetized. No!
I doubt. The nip is still covered.
Yes.
We are using the ring light's reflection to tactically hide the somewhat suggestive cover.
Alas. No, Kabi Nagata writes very autobiographical manga. She started out posting little comics on the web about her experiences as a lesbian woman who was still a virgin in her late 20s.
Yes.
That's eventually got chronicled in My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, which was a very interesting read for me.
Yeah, it's still on my list.
Not just for the LGBT themes, but also just the general idea of this lady who was almost hitting 30 and still trying to find her place in the world, still stressing. It also deals with her professional stance, her struggles in working professionally. It's very interesting and in a lot of places very sad. And now 7 Seas has licensed one of her other manga, which deals with the same kind of topics for release, and I didn't check if that release will be anytime soon, actually.
Well, you better get on to that. Well, I'm still it's still on my list to read because it meant something to you, and I had it on my list already since I saw that because it has a very particular art style.
Yeah, the art is not what you'd expect from a manga, not even a shoujo.
No, it's very...
Or yosei.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's a bit rough. More of a rough style, which is fine. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm still planning on reading that. Maybe I'll do that this week, actually.
You
somewhere.
Can borrow my copy if you want, I don't mind.
Fine. So have you found the thing you were looking for?
No, I don't think it mentions an actual release date, but...
okay, so it's just licensed for now.
Yes, but My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness became kind of a big phenomenon even outside of anime communities, and it's got released worldwide to much success. So I'm happy that she gets keep writing similar autobiographical works.
Yes, I do think the art style helps with it in regard of if I were to look at this as a non-anime manga-loving person, I wouldn't instantly think this is the niche of anime/manga.
No, that's a graphic novel.
It just seemed like the more European doodly kind of front page. Not to be not trying to sound badmouth it or anything. It just kind of has that style.
No, I
to
get
it.
what you mean. I get what you mean.
So yeah, it kind of throws away that stigma that anime still kind of has.
Yeah.
If you can see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but also kind of the same for Cielo Rune. Also,
Yeah, that's also...
You mentioned that it looked very Western, and yeah, I think there's a lot of value in manga and anime that don't typically look like the genre, the medium. There's only one severe problem with that, and that's that if people get attached to it, it's harder to kind of recommend them the next step in their journey.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fair. Then again, I recommended a friend Serial Experiments Lane as its first anime, and he came back for more. I was expecting him to never want to watch anime again.
This is what you get for trying to be rude.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Shall I also take this one? Because the final one is absolutely for you, and this is another list.
Yes, fair enough.
All right. Hello, everyone that is a law-abiding citizen of the internet and streams their anime legally through sources like Crunchyroll. Here is the list of anime you will no longer be able to watch as of May 28th. Classroom Crisis, Daybreak Illusion, All of Durarara, it seems, High School Fleet, oh damn, that's actually a really good one. I've Always Liked You, Occult Academy, Read or Die, the TV version, Silver Spoon, Samurai Flamenco, The Moment You Fall in Love, Vivid Red Operation, World Quest, Conquest, Zvezda Plot,
Zvezda Plot.
and the 3 seasons of Wagneria, which is also known as Working.
Yes.
So yes, those will be removed from Crunchyroll for international streaming, and some of it will remain available on Funimation. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Wow, that is quite a list of a high-profile series.
That's just gone.
That's just gone. Yeah, Durarara, fuck you.
Yeah, I watch anime sometimes with one particular friend, and he was like, let's go watch Durarara. And I'm like, fine, I don't know what this is, I'll watch with you. And, by the 3rd season, I was just kind of done with it. And I was like, can you just pick anything in between that we can watch just to fill out some time? And he comes up with fucking, what was it called, Get? Yozura...
Yozuraka Quartet?
Yeah, Yozakura Quartet,
Yozakura.
which is literally the same anime. And I'm just like, nah, I'm done with this writer. It just gets very tedious after a while, to me.
Yeah, this is honestly kind of sad, because sometimes you get the impression that low-profile shows might slip by, and maybe something like High School Fleet, which I enjoyed High School Fleet quite a lot.
But let's be real here, this is just some bitching around with licenses. It's literally, we have a streaming service now, you won't get the license anymore.
Yeah, but something like High School Fleet and other shows, smaller, sometimes slip out of licensing, but here we just have a big batch and include stuff like Durarara and Wagneria, Samurai Flamenco, Silver Spoon. Those are kind of big names.
Yeah, High School Fleet is now on Funimation, just like Durarara, Samurai Flamenco, some others too. So yeah, well, to be honest, Crunchyroll's a shit service either way.
Yeah, but so is Funimation.
Yeah, that's the entire issue. There is no particularly good anime streaming service, which just works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not the perfect person to ask this, though. So I've just got to say Netflix is, I think, the best working platform for it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad, because that's not specific to anime at all, and it licenses often just a bit of the anime. Because I vividly remember it only has 1 episode of Blood Plus on there.
It licenses very randomly, and there's no synergy in its library, but its video player and is actually just fine.
Yes. I mean, I remember Blood Plus only having 1 episode, and for some reason having 2nd season of a show, but not the 1st season of a show. Just, there's no real good way to stream legal anime, in my opinion.
No, but this is certainly not helping.
No, definitely not. Next up, we have Neo, The World Ends With You game's opening movie has been streamed. Square Enix began streaming the opening movie trailer for Neo, The World Ends With You, which would, I'm going to try and pronounce the Japanese title of, Shinsubarashi Kono Sekai, which does not translate to The World Ends With You. I've already made that bit. A new sequel game to The World Ends With You. So yeah, we got an opening cinematic, which actually looked pretty nice. I'm still kind of baffled that it's really going to be released on the PS4, not the PS5. But with how the current systems are handled, I think it's fine because they're architecturally almost the same. So they might as well just re-release it as PS4/PS5. Because, nothing stops a PS4 game for running on a PS5.
Alright. I was about to say they could always just do like a GOTY edition year down the line or a remaster.
Yeah, but they bring out update patches for the games either way now. Most last generation games get patches either way to upgrade their visuals to PS5.
Alright.
So
I'm not too familiar with console gaming
at
nowadays,
this point.
So.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty. I should be familiar. It's my job to be familiar with those. So this is kind of a rinse and repeat of the first game in the sense that there's another Reaper game going. But it's in a newer version of the city, I suppose. Because it was original in Shibuya in 2008 and now it should be Shibuya in 2021, I suppose. Or if it sets itself in 2018, something along those lines. So half of the fun of that game was the styling and the architecture of Shibuya and actually exploring the city. So I'm actually kind of... I still need to replay the original game again on the Switch before it actually launches, which is in Japan on July 27th.
And we should specify also that this game is also getting a Nintendo Switch version.
Yes, and PS4, and there's going to be a PC version on the Epic Game Store, which most people are going to hate because Square Enix, I think, has an exclusivity deal with them.
Oh, alright.
Yeah, I say that because the Kingdom Hearts games are also exclusively released on the Epic Game Store. And this PC release also seems to be released this summer exclusively on the Epic Game Store.
Alright.
And I still don't entirely know why people are so mad at the Epic Game Store.
I personally don't mind, but I don't buy many games these days.
No, fair enough. Yeah, I just see a lot of hate for them because they buy out games to be exclusive on their platform, but that's just kind of a given. How else are you going to compete with a titan like Steam without buying out certain games? I mean, most people already have a Steam account if they're PC gamers. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would give you a very raised eyebrow if you told me you don't have Steam and you're a PC gamer. And if you want, you can't really compete by just having the same games on the platform, because why would I choose the Epic Game Store version if I already have a Steam account? So unless they are cutting into the pricing a lot, which they really can't, because they'd be losing money that way, or if they can buy out a game entirely to be published solely on their platform, that would make it more exclusive, thus forcing people to buy on their platform. And I get why people don't like that specifically, but there's no competition otherwise. So yeah, that's kind of my take on why I don't get why people don't like the Epic Game Store.
Yeah, and I think that people are very attached to Steam because it holds so much of their library and they're willing to forgive a lot of the shit that Steam pulls.
Yes, I was about to say, because they're angry at Epic Game Store forcing exclusivity by buying out games, but Steam never really had to do that. It was the only kid in town. So it really didn't have to force any publishers to do that.
Yes, and I would strongly advise any younglings to look into the early days of Steam. Because Steam got forced in mandatorily when you bought the early Valve games, which I believe was required as of Half-Life 2.
Yes, I believe so. Because Steam was originally released in 2003, so that would make sense.
Yes, and it was a flaming pile of shit back in those days, and it still has very big problems these days.
I was about to say, it's not much better these days. It is a very, a stagnant platform.
It's very stagnant DRM. I remember I was still working in journalism when Steam Greenlight became a thing. I was like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is interesting. This could be an interesting way to open up Steam. And we started doing like Steam Greenlight rundowns, but those became so prevalent that I had to just put 3 new releases of Steam Greenlight together because there was so much getting greenlit. It was basically worthless.
And they were also very nitpicky, or not per se nitpicky. They were very arbitrary of what game actually ended up in Greenlight, because Steam still had the final say if your game was good enough to end up in Greenlight, and that was very arbitrary. I don't think that's a thing anymore.
I think they stopped that.
Yes, because people were getting mad at that with good reason. So yeah, The World's End With You. Released in 2018 for the Switch, which is the quote-unquote final remix version, which...
just like Kingdom Hearts, yeah.
Yeah, just like Kingdom Hearts in that regard. I don't think they added anything, it's just a ported version. Ironically, not of the DS version, but of the iPad version. Because they also released it on Android and iPad.
Alright.
So, yeah. It's a very touch-heavy game. So I'm interested how it will turn out on the Switch, because you have to use the pointers.
Oh, all right.
If you're using controllers. The only thing I think they added with the new version on the Switch is that you have multiplayer, so you can actually co-op. That's why I still have it on the list, as I want to play it with a buddy of mine. So yes, let's get on to the next bit. Let's see, which would be games we have recently played.
Yes.
Which we should say that those are games not related to the challenge.
Not related to the challenge. For me, that is kind of an interesting... just like last week, I've been playing more Rome Total War. And I finished the Julii campaign. And I've also, as of yesterday, finished the Greek campaign. And I'm still really enjoying it. But that has kind of been... my excitement for it is kind of muted now, because
it waned.
Just this week we got new trailers for Warhammer Total War 3. And as much as I have nostalgic fondness for Rome Total War...
you have a very actual love.
I have a very actual love for Warhammer, so...
Yes.
And I gotta be honest, I think that the fantasy setting of Warhammer was just such a good fit for the Total War games.
Okay.
Because the historic Total War games,
you can recreate battles, but...
I have a dude with a spear, and if I build this building, now my dude with spears can be dudes with spears and armor.
Now they can stab better, but also defend themselves.
Yes, but now Warhammer Total War 3 has been showing off new models for the demon god Khorne, and also for the Kislev faction. They're still keeping much of what they're gonna put in Café. I forget how to pronounce that.
Okay.
Which is the Chinese, Imperial Chinese-like setting. They've kept that hidden so far, but the new designs for the demons are looking really cool, and we're getting to see a lot of stuff from Kislev, which is based on Slavic and Russian influences.
Yeah, I've only seen the barest of lore for Warhammer, and the first bit of lore I get is pretty much, how do they travel through space? It's higher than the speed of light. Well, they travel through hell.
That is a good summary of Warhammer 40k. But this is fantasy.
Yeah.
It's a different beast altogether. I was laughing when you said bear, because Kislev is all bears all the time.
Yeah.
They have bear cavalry, they have bear warriors, they have bear summonable monsters. They even have a big cannon that is pulled by bears. It is all bears.
It's just bears, okay?
And they've also been showing off a new type of battle, which is a real battle of attrition, where you have to go through a large map, fighting off constant waves of demons, and actually have a boss fight in the end. And to make that actually passable, you get special powers to summon reinforcements, reinvigorate troops, heal troops.
Okay.
It's looking really amazing, but that has kind of
waned your interest.
Yeah,
your enthusiasm.
Yes. I finished the Greek campaign, but now I kind of want to go back to Warhammer Total War 2 and just play through a few more of the campaigns that I had lying around there that I still need to finish up. That's basically it for me outside of the challenge, so
Yes, I've played, well, the obvious Smite and some Bloons, as I often do.
And Left 4 Dead, maybe?
No, I actually haven't played Left 4 Dead this time. I've played some NBA Jam on my portable that I showed off last week. I'm enjoying that a lot, actually. Just a good time waster. I've also gotten into some Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi Tag Team for the PSP, which I also play on the portable. I've already played that game a lot when I was younger, but that was primarily for multiplayer, because it's a fun multiplayer arena game. Actually, I've got to say, for a PSP game, it actually kind of has the best game version of the Dragon Ball story. It has...
Alright.
It has the story. It has a good open world, being within quotes because it's still a PSP game, but it has an overworld gameplay. And it also gives you details, in contrary to other games. As in, when you select a chapter to play, it also tells you the date of when it took place in the in-game time. Or in the in-universe time, I should say. So that's actually pretty interesting. I'd say halfway through by now, because I'm not entirely sure how far the story goes saga-wise, but I think I'm already halfway through.
I believe the Tenkaichi series was also kind of famous because it had the large battle maps.
Yes, because it was an arena fighting game, so the camera is behind you. And instead of being very particular with Street Fighter combos, you just remember how long your combo be, what kind of combo breakers you use, how to mix up and such.
Yeah, because Budokai was semi 3D, right? 2.5D
yes,
fighting.
2.5D.
Okay.
And well, I'd say Tenkaichi Tag Team is definitely based on Tenkaichi 3 for the PS2, so its gameplay is very similar and the combos are almost identical. I think literally the frame data and animations are used from that particular game. But I'm enjoying that a lot. Did I play anything else? Let me think. I don't think something in particular. No. Nothing I can think off the top of my head.
Alright. Shall we get to the challenge then?
Yes.
And we have something to explain before we get there, because we tried to work with like the static system, but it was just not good enough, and we kind of
a tally system for points.
We stopped using it entirely, and when I asked this saint opposite of me if he would let's play Digimon for me, it became clear that just giving him 2 points to let's play a JRPG is absolutely ridiculous. So we've kind of rebalanced the ID, and we're gonna be keeping tally in a different way. What we've discussed for now is that if you try to play the game, it's 1 point.
Yes.
If you played more than 2 hours of it, that's 2 points. If you actually finished it, that's 5 points. And then we have non-standard bonuses for completion, let's play, review, side content that might be in the game.
Yes.
Do we apply that right away?
I'd say so.
Alright, so let's actually try and keep proper tally now, because the NordVPN sponsorship fell through. We didn't get our signboard.
Darn it.
We'll use other means.
Yeah, so I have played an entire 2 episodes worth of Digimon World, struggling all the while, because, well, it's on YouTube under my account, Battery. I've, I think eloquently called it Let's Fail at Digimon World, because I still remember certain mechanics and have forgotten a lot of everything else. So I want to do the first 2 episodes of me struggling with the game and actually not knowing much of the mechanics, and show why it's confusing and why it could be such a tedium. After which is now, for episode 3, I want to do some actual research and know how to play the game, and then I'll come back with part 3, which will actually be kind of educated. But at this point, I've played more of 2 hours than 2 hours of it, so I'd still be at 2 points, but I'm not sure if we should tally that already, because, well, I'm still going on with the Let's Play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can definitely apply those points later.
Yes,
give me a bit of a head start, will you?
Yeah, and we're still going to need to make a new document to actually tally this properly. Yeah, so what did you end up playing?
Don't have any additional thoughts about Digimon?
Well, as I said, if I have any thoughts, you can look at them in the Let's Play.
Ooh,
tempting.
Ooh, cross-marketing.
No, as I already said, it is a cult classic. It's a cult game by now. I remember it being particularly jank, and it is particularly jank.
The jank is accurate.
And I really need to do research for the next parts to actually come out with a compelling gameplay. So that's that.
Alright, well, you challenged me to Sonic Adventure, and I felt really bad after recommending you Digimon. So I went and actually finished the whole thing.
I hope so.
We have to decide if I made completion, but I'm gonna get to that in a bit. I found it to be an interesting game, but I kind of, while I played it, I had fun, but I kind of felt sad for Sega kids.
Fair.
Because this came out in 1989.
1998.
1998. I knew it. I did
Mixed
it wrong.
up the numbers, boy.
The numbers are wrong.
What do they mean?
Goddamn Dutch.
Just for reference, we count in reverse when it's higher than 20. We say 220 instead of 22. So that's where the mix-up happens.
Yes, especially when I'm talking at length. No, 1998.
Yes.
Yes, which is the same year, I believe, that Spyro released and Banjo-Kazooie. And Mario 64 had been out for a while. And while I think the game is fun and has a lot of novelty to it, as a 3D adventure game, it's distinctly not as refined as those games.
Yeah, you could definitely see that Sega was struggling with the new technology and making something of its caliber.
Yeah, because one thing that really stood out to me is just how absolutely random the level progression is.
Yeah.
It's like, you go to the casino level, you do the casino level, you get a cutscene, and then just the key for the next level just spawns in an alley next to you.
Yeah, to be fair, that's just kind of the limitation. A weird thing with Sonic games, you need a casino level. Doesn't matter if it fits in anywhere, you need it.
I enjoyed casino level.
Oh yeah,
That
it's
was
not
fun.
that you can't enjoy it, it's just kind of forced in there sometimes.
I am really happy that they only made you do it once, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of it is kind of janky. You fall through the ground a lot, you dash through enemies a lot. Hitting is often harder than it has to be. It definitely has flaws, but I enjoyed a lot of it. This was my first experience with 3D Sonic that I was actually paying attention to.
Okay.
Because I mentioned it before the podcast, I played through Sonic 2006 with a friend once, but that was really just me being there with him as emotional support.
Yeah, and you need it with that game.
I like the central gimmick that you have the Sonic campaign, which is the biggest campaign, and then you have a whole bunch of friends that you can play as, and all of them have unique gameplay. And I really struggled to figure out which I actually like the most.
Okay.
I like the idea of Tails.
Names.
I like the idea of Tails that you're racing against
Sonic
and
Eggman.
other characters to the finish line through levels that you have already seen, and you kind of have to actually cheat to get ahead of him. I like Amy, that you have to run away from an enemy throughout the level, that you're haunted while trying to solve puzzles. The robot just has a completely different gameplay entirely with the shooting.
Yes.
The only thing that took me a while to get into was the
Pig, probably.
Big the cat.
Rocky.
I was so amused with the character, but the actual gameplay with fishing, the first level, I actually went game over because I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I played this game the first time on PC, of all things.
Yeah, me too.
Well, but here's the difference. I did that in like 2002, 2003. It was a demo with Stibirol, which is chewing gum. They came with game demos behind that time.
Okay.
Very weird. So I played it on the original PC version. The big part also just kind of threw me off. It had a learning curve to it.
Yeah, after the first level, And the second level is mostly annoying for its fucking layout. But after that, I got into it and I was like, this is pretty fun. This is okay. But I really enjoyed his character, especially because it's weird that he is so detached from the plot and all the relevance, and then you get towards the end, all the characters have like this philosophical attachment with the past and get visions from what happened to the lore that kind of gave birth to the ultimate villain of the story.
Yeah.
And then Big the Cat also gets one, and he's just standing there like he's remembering his days in the trenches.
Yes. Just a blank look forward, staring there.
Yes, just this big fat cat that wants to hang out with his frog.
I want my froggy.
Yes, I are there more? Is he in future games? Let's get right down to it. Is he also in other games?
He's in Sonic Heroes.
Oh god, I actually have that. I have that on my Xbox.
Nice. Yeah, he's in other games. I'm trying to think. I don't think he's in Sonic Adventure 2. He's in the... That's the fun part. Sonic Adventure 2 has a lot of Easter eggs, and he's just in the background, often just walking by. You're saving the world, the giant laser is and you just see Big the Cat off screen just walking by.
I am actually interested in exploring more Sonic games as a result. I was annoyed with this game a few times.
Yeah.
I also specifically remembered why I didn't finish it when I was there again. Which is the fucking Egg Viper, the boss fight of the initial Sonic campaign.
You mean the one that darts in and out with the platforms?
Yeah, his attack patterns aren't hard to avoid or anything, but towards the end, you have to use your homing attack on him, and it just doesn't home. For some reason, the homing attack doesn't work anymore. You just have to eyeball it.
It can be quite obnoxious.
And if you miss, you're instantly done for. You're either inside the boss taking damage, or you go off the edge.
Yeah, it's very 1998. I also just want to point out that Big the Cat is voiced by John St. John, which you might know as Duke Nukem. I chew bubblegum and kick ass. Froggy! I just like the contrast between those two roles.
Yeah, Froggy is best character.
Yes. But which campaigns did you finish?
All of them.
And you got the Supersonic campaign?
Well, I finished that as well.
I was about to say, I count that as finished for 5 points, or completion for 6, I'd say. Okay. Because you can still get all the emblems and all that, but screw all that.
Yeah, I didn't understand a few things. That's actually what I was wondering about, because every time you hit an enemy, a little animal pops up that you
can use that for the Chow Garden.
Yes, I went to that garden, I see all these things hopping around, and I'm like, okay, I can pick them up, I can take them to this computer, and...
Oh, no. No, you're seeing that one wrong. The animals you give to the Chow.
As food?
No, kinda. They play with it, and they take over particular characteristics of that animal. If you give him a bird, he will be better at flying. If you give him a rabbit, I believe he's better at running. Tiger Cub gives him more strength. Don't quote me actual stats that increase, but
I only found the Chow in like the cutscenes.
Well, in the actual Chow Garden, you have the first egg, which you kind of have to hatch. And by the look on your face, I'm pretty sure you didn't do that.
I didn't even notice the egg. I noticed that there was this one shop that had an egg in it, and I thought, but if you pick it up, the door closes. So I was like, oh, I can go outside. I pick up this statue, and I put it there to keep it down, but the statue just clips through. And I was like, oh, that's not it then.
Well, I'm the weirdo here because, as I said, when I actually bought this for the GameCube back in the day, I spent actual hours on the Chow Garden. I really like Chow Gardens, in 1 and 2 for that matter. And Robin, buddy of mine, who really plays a lot of Sonic, platformers in general, he actually needed my Chow to win to 100% the game because I was actually obsessed and had a maxed out Chow. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, how many hours have you spent here? And I could just genuinely say, I suppose about 5 times as much as actually playing Sonic.
Yeah, the game was actually pretty short, but I can see how that might be a real-time investment. A real-time investment that I didn't understand.
Yes, I was about
ignored.
to say, didn't even match his first chow.
Bit of a spoiler, but towards the end, suddenly the Chow are relevant again, and it's like, hey, where did these guys come from? I thought they were only in the past.
Fair enough. So let's say 6 points.
All right, 6 points in the bag.
6 points on the board. Hell yeah!
Right.
I technically got 0, but if I complete the Let's Play, you can go fuck yourself.
That's gonna be a big points investment, yeah.
Yes. So. New games.
New games. I'm gonna be generous to you because I gave you a big old game to complete. I understand that's gonna take a while.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be done next week. I think it's going to either take 2 or 3 weeks from now.
Alright, so I don't want to give you something that's too long, and I don't think this is long.
Oh dear.
God, I don't know. Could you complete or do anything with Alien Hominid that you have on the Xbox?
Christ, you do like torturing me with fucking platformers, don't you?
Man,
shoot 'em ups, whatever. Just to give you context, Robin tried that game. I think he beat it, but he almost threw my controller out of the window playing it.
Oh, is it that hard?
It's a new ground shooter.
I remember that there was a shooter back in the day, and I
it's
don't
actually
remember
a
much more
license.
of it.
It's by the same developer, I believe, from Castle Crashers.
Yeah, that makes sense visually.
Yeah, both those games are kind of hard as balls. But I suppose I'll try and finish it. I suppose I get very angry at it, though. God damn it.
I was trying to look for something short, and I was like, well, I can recommend you like movie tie-in games for the PlayStation 1, but I don't want to do that to you either. But so this is what I came up with.
It's a short game. It is in concept, but I'm pretty sure I need hours to not actually throw my controller out the window and actually finish it. But fine.
Okay, as for my game, I've heard that you have contacted infernal sources to help find the best way to torture me. So
yes, I've used the High Council. I've used hours of our time spitting through your list because you have an actual list. I just have things to look at, I suppose.
I just have to spitball and figure out what he may not have played yet.
Yeah, we kind of looked at it and we were like, yeah, well, shit. With the point system we're using, we kind of have to make it so that he can't abuse it. So we have to find a game that's annoying enough to actually be a sore game to play, but it shouldn't be bad enough that you don't actually want to play it after a while. And, we came down to Viking Battle of Asgard for the PS3.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah, have you seen gameplay?
No.
Oh, Christ, you're going to have fun.
I believe this was made by Creative Assembly.
Oh, that could be. I'm not entirely sure. Just to give you a heads up, it's a, hack and slash beat 'em up kind of game. Every beat in the attack you do has about a 2-second wind up.
Alright, well, I'm used to Dark Souls, so maybe...
Yeah, worse. Because it has no feedback. It looks like straight up jank from 2006.
Okay.
But I think it's slightly newer. And it's also a PS3 game, so fun! Updating, taking 3 hours to actually play the game.
Alright. That seems manageable and interesting. I had expected some other degree of torture.
No, as I said, it doesn't need to be that bad that you won't actually play it. Because I'm pretty sure if it would take anything really bad, you just take the point. I've played it. That's all you're gonna get.
Alright, I'm definitely gonna give this a shot.
Okay. So then we go on to the touchy subject, I suppose.
Foreshadowed a bit in the last episode when we talked about Ghost in the Shell, which received allegations of whitewashing its Asian characters. Do we have a general problem with anime and live action whitewashing, yellowwashing, whatever you will, the cast of characters? When characters in an adaptation are distinctly different race from what they were in the source material.
Yeah, that's a bit hard to say because, I don't care for the whitewashing in movies generally. Because, as I said, with Kusanagi or whatever her name is. I always get them confused. Evangelion Kusaragi, I believe, and Kusanagi.
Yeah, the mayor. You mean the mayor?
Yeah. She was I mean, she has a Japanese name, that's obvious, but she kind of is of indistinct features.
Mm-hmm.
So I really didn't care that much. It's just that the movie shot itself in the foot and actually showed her having an Asian mother.
Yeah.
By actually playing a white actress. So that was kind of weird to me.
Yeah, we mentioned that was weird.
But otherwise, I don't really mind anime generally doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, anime has a hard time making real distinct facial features within the style of anime that is mostly employed in current day market.
Yeah, I remember being very annoyed with Code Geass because Code Geass has the central premise of Code Geass is that England, the Empire of Britannia, has invaded Japan and turned it into like a colonized zone.
Yes.
And there is a lot of tension between Japanese people and British immigrants. And then you see people fighting. It's like, well, I don't know which one is which because they look identical. It's the same stupid art style.
Yes, I was about to say
Clamp
Clamp has a very particular art style. And
same Clamp characters.
Yes, I was about to say they all have long necks and very slender bodies.
It all looks the same.
All kind of looks the same.
Yeah, anime just
to be
doesn't
fair,
do race very well.
Yeah, it just kind of fades away, especially if it's not a very obvious race.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Asian to Caucasian is just kind of the same often in anime.
Yeah. For example, if you watch High School Fleet, which we mentioned earlier in the podcast as being one of the shows no longer available on Crunchyroll, you also have the German cast. There's a German boat that gets involved, and they partner with one of its crew members, and you really don't notice any visually difference between the German European character and the old Japanese cast.
No, it's only when it's really exaggerated. Like if they're European, they always have blonde beards or beards in general with blue eyes. Then you notice, but then they really make a point out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what was it called again? Golden Kamui makes pretty good distinctive characters, which you can kind of point out which race they are. But that's also an art style that really lends itself to that, as in it has a pretty particular art style.
Mm-hmm.
But just in general, it's kind of hard, I think. And, well, yellow washing characters. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind would be Fate with their characters, because most of them are historic characters.
Yeah.
And, well, let's be honest, the archer in Fate Zero is Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is portrayed as being blonde and having yellow eyes. That's not historically accurate.
No, that is like Mesopotamia was like in the Middle East, right?
Yes, Mesopotamia, king of Uruk. He's supposed to be, well, at least tinted. I think he's pretty much meant to be black.
Yeah, but that's when you also get the argument like Jesus being depicted as white.
Yeah, which is also
Christian imagery.
That's also kind of dumb, because, well, he's from the Middle East. He's not going to be white. Sorry, Karen. Yeah, so I don't really mind, because you can, with the tone that it's trying to set, I think the character art kind of has to move that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still a mythological character, so you can get away with that. But I don't think there's really any egregious anime that really yellow washes or white washes any particular character in my mind.
I think that's a friend of mine is better suited to comment on this, which is C&B Bell, the owner of the Osprey Shire and Iridium Eye.
Okay.
Because he focuses a lot on this subject, but black characters have historically in anime been not as well represented, and if represented, usually very comical.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, I just think there's a, as I said, between Caucasian and Asian facial features, there's not a lot of difference. You can interchange facial features and still make it look alright, but black characters, well, they have very specific facial features which are well, they don't use it often, so it's kind of hard to animate, I presume. So that's also, I think, part of the reason. And, well, Japan is still a hermit-like country that's kind of closeted in that regard.
Interestingly, we are getting now an anime about Yasuku, the African the African samurai.
Yes, the African slave who was introduced to Japan in 1579.
Ah,
ha! I know my lore.
Mr. History. Good job.
Mr. History here.
Mr. History. And there have been good anime about black characters. Afro Samurai is, of course, one that stands out.
Yes, yeah, that's the opposite again. As in, that was purely designed around a black character.
Mm-hmm.
As in, the whole art style was based around it too. Which is still fine, but it doesn't contrast really anything.
But I have pointed out a few times when anime was a little bit about race. Things that stand out. Sailor Moon. You have one of the week villains of the week when she was Avocadera or something, which was one of the only black characters that starred in the show, and she was like an island designed as an island native with coconut breast, banana shoulder pads.
Oh dear.
Green hair to make it look like pineapple leaves.
Yeah.
Love Hina, of course, with Sue. Every time that you walk into Sue comes into view, you hear monkey sounds.
Yeah, it's a literal monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's indeed a bit. Yeah, that's the part about Japan that's literally just xenophobic and just kind of, well, they're a hermit country. They're not. They're very homogenous in their own country, so they really don't have racism a lot. But they are still... That's why I specifically use xenophobic, because they're kind of not afraid, but they are not used to things outside of their own country. So they experience that as weird, and it's not per se trying to insult other races, but they depict our things as weird for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, black people being especially... that to them, because they literally in older anime specifically, they literally are often observed as being monkey-like.
Yeah, if you look at something like Cyborg 009, which we watched, which had two black characters, both of which
iffy at best.
Yeah, and I don't know how that holds up in the Cyborg 009 remake.
Oh, I have no clue. We should watch that at some point, but I haven't gotten around to it. So, yeah, I don't think it's from a part of racism, just literally not knowing any better. And, well, they're getting there now because, well, you kind of have to, because now they're obviously getting death threats slew their way. And that would also include, I think, things regarding race and such. As a good reminder, I'd like Attack on Titan Season 4 has a black character introduced.
All right.
And they kind of make the point to there because they are themselves portrayed as being primarily European.
Yeah.
That the black guy is kind of weird. They say, "Oh, you have black skin?" Question mark. Not from a point that there's any ill will towards him, but just this is weird. We haven't seen that. But he is not. I think he's pretty well done. Although I have to say that I don't remember his name that much because he is a side character. But then you have the obvious fucking crab scene. I don't even know whatever heaven? Outer Heaven? I don't know what the anime is called again. I'm pretty sure you know the scene.
Yeah.
The black guy just walks up with the most Brooklyn-ass fake accent. And the dude has a crab on his, or crustacean on his middle finger. Yeah, that scene is kind of notorious at this point.
Now we're talking about more racism more generally, but if we get back to the yellow watch...
Well, no. Whoa. You're using racism. Xenophobic. There's a difference.
Excuse me. To get back on actual yellow watching, because we are seeing a lot of anime getting live action adaptations now, stuff like Fullmetal Alchemist, Mob 100, Death Note. Kind of my argument for why I don't really mind when those end up with casts that don't resemble the anime characters visually. Like Fullmetal Alchemist especially, that is so clearly set in European.
Yeah, I was going to say Death Note especially, because L was black for some reason.
Yeah, but my core argument there would be that I can't really muster the interest to care, because I am not the audience for live action movies. I don't watch
definitely
live action
not.
movies, even when they. I don't really care when some series that I love is getting in live action.
But
I don't care. I'm not gonna watch it. I don't care about live action.
I mean, I'm kind of in the middle with that argument, like because if you're going to watch Death Note, the anime or the series on Netflix, and you're interested in the anime afterwards, it's kind of weird that they chose a black actor for L.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of seems like they're trying to pander towards black people in general, which which I can agree with. Because it just kind of seems like a forced option. But then again, you have...
Forced inclusivity is what you're...
forced inclusivity. But then you also have people which are raging that if there's an autobiography of a certain story made in film about a gay person, then they're angry that gay person is not portrayed by a gay actor. Then I'm just like, that's taking things too far. Because you don't have to be gay to be able to act well. I just kind of think that's dumb.
I get you.
As I said, I'm kind of in the middle because Death Note being cast as L being black is kind of weird to me. I mean, I haven't seen it. I'm probably never going to see it.
No, but I'm in this medium for the artistry of animation, and so I really don't care when things get live action adaptations because I'm not gonna watch them.
Me neither. Often, I mean, I watched Ghost in the Shell. That was kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
I may watch one of the other adaptations just to kick my own ass, I suppose, to punish myself. But otherwise, I really can't care that much unless it's extremely egregious for no particular reason. But it's the forced inclusivity thing that's kind of throws me off often.
Yeah, I don't know about Death Note. I saw that as well. I watched the trailer, of course, because at least I'm interested enough to kind of investigate. And I was like, oh, that's strange. But I'm always inclined to just kind of give them like the benefit of the doubt that maybe there was an interesting reason for why they went with an actor that so definitely does not resemble the original.
No, precisely. But yeah, as we haven't seen it, we can't really comment on it that much.
No. But yeah, that's kind of my point then. I can't really muster much interest in yellow washing, whitewashing because I'm just not gonna watch the things.
No.
Especially if if the casting for some reason upsets me, I'm just not gonna go.
Yeah, as I said, I'm kind of in the middle. If it's forced inclusivity, I'm just kind of why? That just kind of throws me off. Especially if the character has some cultural ties to the race that's actually portrayed in the anime. I mean, with Golden Kamuy is example where the girl is an Inuit, or an evil close to it, a tribal Japanese girl.
Mm-hmm.
So if that were to be entirely portrayed by someone who is of different ethnicity altogether, and not playing that particular core part of her character is not actually portrayed in a real action movie, real life action movie, then I'd be kind of, well, that would knock me the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I'm kind of in the same boat as in I can't really care as I'm not really going to watch this. I'm not the audience for this.
You'd want anime to be diverse, but you don't want them to force it in
as an afterthought just for it. Because, as I said, if the character has no cultural bounds to its ethnicity, then I wouldn't care as much. Because Elf was supposed to be British, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I don't think he has any specific cultural ties shown on screen to that. So, well, he plays tennis, but that's not particularly British, I suppose.
Yeah, and I guess that the Death Note adaptation also just got a mostly rewritten plot anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I haven't watched that much of it. As I said, I've just seen some screenshots, and I believe I've watched the trailer, which also makes Ryuk look like some early PS1 hellscape of a CGI pudding.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so yeah,
there you have our conclusion. Should anime movies yellow wash or whitewash their characters? And our conclusion is anime movies kind of suck.
A different conclusion to the question was asked. Well, you'll have to deal with it.
Tactically avoid it.
So yeah, that's kind of it for this week then.
Yes, and I would like to congratulate Petri again on his new ownership of Attack on Titan Season 1, Fate Stay Night, and my Komi manga, which I definitely don't want back.
Well, I got rich today. I'm going to enrich your life with some more digital worlds maybe tomorrow.
I look forward to it. Thank you again for joining us, and goodbye.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.